Good morning everyone. Welcome to a new session for Target IBPS 2018, and we are today continuing with the topic of verbal reasoning that we have done earlier also. So till now in verbal reasoning we have seen conclusions, inferences and assumptions. Today I will be starting with the topic of arguments. Right? So this is also a type of question that you can see in the verbal reasoning section of the examination. So in the class we will first of all understand what arguments are and what are different types of concepts that we have to keep in mind while solving questions on arguments. Followed by that we will be also taking up sample questions to understand how to solve these questions in an exam scenario, and also what kind of answer options are there, right. So once you go through the entire discussion today, in future if you get any questions from arguments, you will have the best strategies for solving those questions. Alright. So for the goal for the class today is to understand logical arguments. Like, what are logical arguments? When we say arguments, it's understood, it's implied that we're talking about logical arguments. We will also develop our understanding of what these are, and also obviously we will be discussing problems along the way to make you understand how the questions are asked in exams and what are the different methods of solving those questions. Okay. So regarding the number of questions, you see most questions from verbal reasoning, as I have told and I have discussed earlier also, comes in the mains examination. There are less number of questions, almost you will see the last 2-3 years paper, verbal reasoning questions like assumptions, conclusions, inferences, arguments. These are normally not a part of the prelims examination as such, but there is no such hard and fast rules. It can also happen that you can get questions from verbal reasoning tomorrow in the prelims exam. So we are going to cover the entire portion for you, keeping the banking exams both prelims and mains. Alright. So first of all, let's understand what are argument. What is an argument? Now day to day life we use this word a lot. For example, I had an argument with my friend, or don't argue with me. This person has a lot of arguments, he keeps arguing, right? So what is this word argument? Let's first understand that. And I am going to take the dictionary definition of this word first to make you understand the meaning of the word, and from there on we will develop the concept one step at a time. Okay? So chalo, first let's see the dictionary definition of the word argument. If you see, an argument is a noun. You see here that it has got two meanings that I have taken here in front of you on the screen. You can see meaning one, that an argument is an exchange of diverging or opposite views. That means opposing different views. Two people are not agreeing. If they converge, they agree. If they diverge, they don't agree. So it's an exchange of diverging views. I am saying that something should be done, and you are saying that something should not be done. And maybe I like coffee and you like tea, and we are arguing about which is better, whether coffee or tea. So an argument can be understood as a set of an exchange of opposite ideas, opposite views, often with anger involved. So when you say that, why are you arguing? It's obviously that we're just not discussing, we are having an angry tone to it, often, not always. Clear? So you see in news channels, people come and there's a huge discussion on the channel nowadays. We have this concept of debates on television channels where people come and they start making arguments. Often most of the arguments made on news channels are not very sound. Okay. So we'll see what is the difference between an argument and an opinion, and that is why it is so important that people learn the meaning of what is a logical argument, how a logical argument should be made, and what is the difference between an argument and an opinion. So it's very clear, the meaning here you can see very clear. An exchange of diverging or opposite views. So first of all, a diverging or opposite. People are going in two different directions with respect to one thing, and that is what is the meaning of diverging. Why are they going in two different directions? Because they have opposite views, right? For example, I like coffee and you like tea. We can argue about that on and on and on, right? Now next meaning of argument, as very clearly you can see here, meaning two is what we are talking about in today's class. Logical argument, a reason or set of reasons given in support of an idea, action or theory. It can oppose an idea and action. It's not always in support. We can also oppose an idea, action or theory. When we oppose, we are supporting a counter theory. Clear? when I am supporting a counter theory, an alternative theory, then I am opposing the one that has been proposed. Again, let's keep it very simple. A reason or set of reasons. So what is very important to note here is that there is a reason, or we can have set of reasons. So when we give our opinion, when we give our point of view, and then we give some reason for it, or we give a set of reasons, a number of reasons why we support or we don't support an idea, action or theory, then that is called an argument. Now this is the meaning that we are going to deal. This is the kind of arguments that we are going to deal with in today's session. Not arguing or fighting over something, but rather opposing or supporting a view with a solid reasoning behind it. Why I support it or why I don't support it. There should be a solid reason behind that. And what is that reason, that we will see how reasons are presented. What can be a reason? So let's say, for example, here we have an example of what is meaning one. Meaning one, that is just a kind of an argument, a fight, an altercation, right? I had an argument with my brother. So normally siblings keep fighting among themselves. I like this, you like that, I'll watch this television, so you want to watch something else. So you can have an argument with your brother, your sibling, or your parents also sometimes. Okay. And meaning two, the example you can see very clearly, there is a strong argument for, right? There is a strong argument for reducing taxes on fuel. Nowadays we know that in India price of petrol is very high. People who commute daily using their own vehicles have to bear the burnt of high petrol and diesel prices. So a lot of people are arguing for a reduction in taxes on the high petrol prices or diesel prices. The government should cut down taxes. So if they argue for reduction on taxes, they have to give reasons for that. Why and how? What is the problem? Why do they want the taxes to be reduced? There should be a solid reasoning behind that. If a reasoning is not there, justification is not there, and explanation is not there, then the argument, what we say, is falls flat. It's not an argument, it's merely an opinion. Let's go on and see. Let's take a question and let's see what can be the different arguments a person can come up for a particular question. So let's say if I have, before that, let's just see what is an argument. So just now we have seen an argument is can be an explanation. So if I am giving some reason, I am trying to explain why I want something to be done or why I don't want something to be done. I could be explaining why something is happening, right? Just to explain to people that what is the reason for that. For example, I could say the high petrol prices right now is because of a steep decline in the value of rupee with respect to a dollar, and that petrol, or you can say crude oil, is imported in India in dollars, and that is why, because of this difference between the price of dollar and rupee, we are having high petrol prices. That could be an explanation. That is also giving a reason why is the petrol prices high. Okay, it could be a justification, right? An argument could be, there could be a justification that okay, petrol prices are higher, but then inflation on other things is down. So right now inflation is around 3.5%. The consumer price index in India, inflation is calculated on WPI, that is wholesale price index or consumer price index. So there could be a justification that okay, fine, petrol prices are higher, but then the price of other commodities has gone down and inflation is just averaging around 3.5% to 4%. That means the customers are able to save, people are able to save on other fronts, even if they have to spend a little extra on buying petrol or diesel. Here, an argument could be an evidence. So we can give an evidence, we can make a chart and show about how petrol prices have been increasing from the last 3, 4, 5 years and that the increase right now is not wavered, it is not very different, and it is logical that there can be an increase in the price of petrol. So we can give you statistics, we can give you a chart or a pie chart or a bar graph or a line graph. Now we can give you an evidence. Let's see here. Here is the evidence of how petrol prices have been rising from the last few years, and that this trend is not unusual. Correct? So there should not be much clamor, much debate and discussion on why the price of petrol is going up. Now it's up to us to whether accept the argument or reject the argument. an argument need not be accepted by everyone. We can debate over it. We can say that this argument is weak, this argument is strong. Clear? We can say that this argument is not related to the topic and that there is something else. So we have to understand that every argument is not strong. Clear? Some arguments can be strong, some arguments can be weak, some arguments might not be related to the topic at all, right? So we have to understand those things, and that is why we are doing this session, for you to understand what arguments are. So let's just see, what is a logical argument? A logical argument is a point of view backed by reasoning or evidence. Clear? So we are giving a point of view, what we support or we don't support, but we are not just giving that, we are adding. Our point of view is backed by reasons, backed by evidence, then it becomes a logical argument. Otherwise it's simply a mere statement and cannot qualify as an argument. So please understand here, in the previous slide, in this one we have seen that an argument can be a reason or set of reasons in support of an action or theory. Clear? In support of something. So it's very important to know that there should always be a reason or set of reasons, a point of view backed by reasons or evidence, right? The argument can be an explanation, it can be a justification, it can be a reasoning, and it can be simply an evidence. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take one question. Let's take this very hot topic right now. The Supreme Court, 5-judge bench of Supreme Court passed judgment decriminalizing section 377. That should be a GK information that you must have. Section 377 deals with particularly in other things also, it deals with homosexuality or relations between people who are of the same gender. So suppose if people are debating, so should it be decriminalized? Now we know that it's already been decriminalized, but let's say that people are debating, should section 377 be decriminalized? And there are a number of arguments here. Let's start with the first one. First we'll look at all the arguments and then we'll find out a kind of a touchstone of finding out what is a right argument or what is a strong argument as opposed to what is a weak argument. Then we'll look at these arguments once again and find out which of these arguments is strong and which of these are weak. Okay, let's start with the first one. So here a person is saying, so the question is, should section 377 be decriminalized? Argument of a person can be yes, because it leads to discrimination of people for a life choice that they have made. So here is the point of view, that is yes, it should be decriminalized. That is your point of view, backed by a reason, because so there is a reason for why you are saying yes. That is how normally a template of an argument in your exam is also going to be, a yes or no followed by a justification or reason. Yes, because it leads to discrimination of people for a life choice that they have made. Clear? So there is a person who is giving his argument and giving a reason for that argument. Let's look at argument number 2. Yes, it violates the right to life with dignity that is enshrined in our constitution. So in our constitution there are certain fundamental rights that have been guaranteed to every citizen of this country. One of the fundamental rights is right to life, and right to life does not mean just to live, but it also means to live with dignity. Clear? So right to life with dignity. So if the person is giving you yes, this is his opinion, yes, it should be decriminalized. It should be decriminalized. That means it should not be illegal. It should not be a crime. Why? There is a reason, because it violates the right to life with dignity that is enshrined, that is in our constitution. So it's giving a lot evidence. Yes, there is something called as right to life with dignity, and this particular law, in the opinion of this person who is arguing here, is violative of that particular law. So this is the second argument here. Let's go to the third one. Let's see what is this person saying. He's saying yes, again that is the point of view. Yes means he believes that it should be decriminalized. Okay, why? What is the reason? Science has established, the scientific research around the world has established that homosexuality is not unnatural, and thus punishing someone for their natural proclivity, that is natural inclination, is a violation of their fundamental rights. Again, this is also an argument that is given here for the same question. The statement is, should section 377 be decriminalized? Okay, followed by the next argument here. It says yes, because most developed countries have decriminalized homosexuality. So this person is saying that yes, it should be decriminalized. What is the reason he is giving? Because the other developed countries like the USA or the Canada, USA or Canada or UK or many other European countries, Australia, have decriminalized homosexuality. So we should also follow suit, right? We should also follow the developed countries and decriminalize this particular law, that is section 377, that makes homosexuality a criminal offence. And then finally argument number 5 here is that no. So this person's opinion is yes, this person's opinion is no. So what is his point of view? His point of view is that no, it should not be decriminalized, it should be continued as a criminal offence. Why he says that? Because he believes that homosexuality is immoral, right? On the grounds of morality, his argument is based on the grounds of morality, and he believes that homosexuality is immoral and thus it should be banned. Okay, so we have seen here 5 arguments, all related to the question, that is, should section 377 be decriminalized. In your examination also you will get a question like this. There will be a question posed in front of you, followed by certain statements which are arguments, maybe in favor or against the given question, and you will have to find out which of the arguments are strong and which of the arguments are weak, and that is the template of solving argument based questions. Now we have just seen here the arguments, we have not yet gone on to decipher the arguments to understand which arguments are strong and which arguments are weak. So what we will do is we will find out how to distinguish between strong and weak arguments. There is a simple 4-point method that I have created for you that will help you in solving these arguments questions always without any difficulty. Just ask these 4 questions when you are reading an argument and you are most likely to get the answer every time. Okay, alright. So what are the 4 questions you will ask? The first one, you read the argument and you ask yourself, is the argument directly related to the statement? That is the first and foremost thing to check. Is the argument directly related to the statement? If the argument is not related, then it is not at all an argument, because that is the first benchmark. You can say the first, you can say the quality or characteristic of an argument is that it must be related to the question. I am saying something and you are saying something else, unrelated, completely unrelated, that does not make sense. So is the argument directly related to the question or not? Directly related to the statement or not? That is the first and foremost thing to check. The second thing here is, does it clearly support or oppose the statement? Very important to focus on this word here, clearly support or oppose. The argument or the answer given by a person should not be equivocal. Equivocal means confusing. We don't know whether the person is saying yes or no. So the answer to an argument question cannot be maybe, perhaps, could be, So these are not the kind of answers we are looking for. We are asking something and we want a clear answer, yes or no. Clear? Does the argument clearly support something, or does it clearly oppose something? That is our second question. Third one, does it give a clear explanation or reasoning? Why does it support? So I am saying no, it is very clear that I don't support it, but am I giving a sound justification, a sound reasoning for why I am saying no? If I say yes, it should be done. It is very clear that I am clearly supporting it, but am I giving you a clear explanation, reasoning, evidence for what I have said? That should be our third question. Is the argument within the scope of the statement? That is the fourth question. Normally most of the questions which are given, the arguments are within the scope itself, but if there is a situation where there is a statement and the argument is beyond the scope of the question, beyond the scope. Now what is the meaning of scope here? I am talking about a particular question. Let's say that should deemed universities be allowed or banned, and you are talking about school education. I am talking about deemed university. Should deemed universities in India be allowed to function, or should they all be under a centralized university system, right, to have greater control over them to make sure that they don't start operating just for the purpose of profit. That is the question. And the person is arguing that no, deemed university should not be banned because there are private schools in the country also. When private schools are there, then why can't they be deemed universities? Now this is going beyond the scope of the discussion here and bringing schools, private schools. The education in school system is different from what we expect in the university system. So if you start going beyond the scope of the topic, then that argument is definitely not the correct argument. Suppose the question is about employment or unemployment in urban areas, and you are talking about rural areas. You are going beyond the scope of the argument, right? You are bringing things, you are bringing ideas that are not in the you can say the perimeter of the argument that we are given. You are going beyond the scope. So these 4 questions, if you ask, you can find out clearly whether an argument is a strong argument or a weak argument. So let's just go forward and see how these can be applied in the arguments that we saw in the previous slide. So here we have the same question and the 5 arguments. Let's quickly go through the questions and say, so yes, this is clearly supporting, that's one thing. It leads to discrimination of people for a life choice that they have made, so it is related to the topic. Obviously most of the arguments are related and within the scope. So what you have to just see is you just have to see whether it clearly supports or opposes and whether it gives you a sound reasoning. So there is a reasoning given to you that this leads to discrimination of people for a life choice that they have made. You can say that this is a strong argument. Clear? Let's look at the second one. Again it says yes, it clearly supports and it gives a very strong reason here. It violates the right to life with dignity that is enshrined in our constitution. Very clearly this is a strong argument. Clear? Let's look at the third one. It says yes, it's a clearly supporting. Science has established, it's giving an evidence. It's giving an evidence plus the reasoning. Science has established that homosexuality is not unnatural, and thus punishing someone for his or for their natural proclivity is a violation of their fundamental rights. A very well worded, strong argument. Let's look at the fourth one. Yes, because most developed countries have decriminalized homosexuality. This is not a strong argument. Just because something has been done by others, using that as an argument for what we should do is not a clear reasoning, is not a sound reasoning or an explanation. So please understand, this type of statement that says, okay, because others have done this, we should also do it. This was done in some other countries, so India should also do it, is not a strong argument. It is a weak argument. All countries are different in a number of ways, right? Just because someone else has done does not mean that we will also do it. Okay. Now this is a weak argument, and now let's look at the final one. This says no, very clearly no. So it's very clearly opposing the view, and it's saying that homosexuality is immoral based on what? Based on what? Now we are not going to give opinions here, right? We have to give reasons. We have to give reasons, and then only we can tell why it is immoral. Just by calling it immoral does not make it a strong argument. So this becomes a weak argument. Please understand, we are searching for arguments in the answer options. We are not searching for opinions. I don't like it, that is why it should be banned. Now this is an opinion. Or if I am just saying that okay, it's unethical, but how it is unethical, you have to explain that also. If you can explain properly why you feel this is immoral, then it can still be an argument. I don't have to agree with it. First of all, you don't have to agree with an argument for it to be a strong argument. Let's that be very clear. We are not talking about our agreement or disagreement. We are just testing the argument based on the 4 parameters. Does it talk about the topic? Is it related to the topic? That is mostly the case. We don't have to worry about that. Does it clearly support or oppose the point of view? That is one thing. Third is, does it give a clear evidence, a clear reasoning, justification? So these are the 3 main things, and fourth one is that within the scope. So most of the answer options that you will see will be within the scope and they will be related to the argument. So you just have to see clear support or clear opposition and a sound reasoning. Okay, so that's a little bit about the theory part. Now we'll go forward later on in this same video. We'll see example questions, but before that we'll see previous session contest question. This is a very different reasoning question, kind of coding questions. You can say volleyball is called hockey, hockey is called golf, golf is called badminton, badminton is called rugby, rugby is called football, and football is called cricket, and cricket is called tennis. Which game is not played using a ball? So many games mentioned here, right? And almost all the games are played using a ball except which game? The game that is badminton. But is the answer badminton? No. What is badminton called in the question? You can see here, badminton is called rugby. What is badminton called? Rugby. So our answer will not be badminton, but what is badminton called? So the answer for this question, which game is not played using a ball? The answer will be rugby here. Please understand again. We know rugby is played using a ball, but we are going to just think about here. If volleyball is called hockey, hockey is called golf, so we are using word replacement. We are calling volleyball hockey. Does not mean that we start playing hockey with the volleyball. It's just that the name is changing. The word is getting replaced. So we'll say which game is not played using a ball? The answer is badminton, but what is badminton called in the question? Rugby. So answer then becomes rugby. This is one type of question that is to come frequently earlier, not so nowadays, but in other exams still it's a very hot type of question. Okay. Alright, now the time for today's contest question. Find the odd one out from the options below. There are 4 options. This is an odd one out question. There is a sequence of letters from the English alphabet given to you here in answer option A, B, C and D. Answer option A, B, C, D, V. Then we have A, B, C, D, E, F, T, A, B, X. And answer option D says A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, S. So look at the 4 answer options and find out which answer option is the odd one out, and post that answer option in the comment section below. I will be discussing the solution for this question in my next video session. Okay, alright. Now what we will do, we will continue with the topic of arguments. First of all, we will see quickly what is the difference between an argument and an opinion. So we have already seen that, just final touch on this, the difference between argument and opinion. An argument is a point of view which is also called as an assertion or claim. So you can say assertion, reason question is also an argument question. It's not different. An assertion is a point of view or a claim, and a reason is the reason for that, and that becomes an argument. So an argument can be a point of view, assertion, what you're claiming, plus reason, explanation, evidence for your claim. But what is an opinion? Opinion is a point of view, that's all. No reasoning, no evidence, simply a point of view. Let's see. Let's look at this question. Should examinations be banned in schools? This is the question. Should examinations be banned in schools? Look at the first statement. Yes, the focus in school should be on learning and not evaluation based on marks. Clear? There is a clear support of yes, it should be banned, with a reasoning given to you, a justifiable reasoning that the focus should be on learning, not merely on evaluation based on marks. So this is what we call an argument. Look at the second one. Yes, I don't like examinations. So we should ban exams because I don't like examinations. Is this a reason? Is it justification? Okay, I don't like it, so we should ban it? No. So what is this? This is an opinion. What makes this second statement opinion? Clarity in terms of a sound reasoning or justification for something, rather than merely giving a point of view. Alright. Now let's look at the first question here. This is how questions actually come in exams from arguments. What is the statement here? Should road repair work in big cities be carried out only late at night? Only late at night, not only in the night but late in the night, maybe after 10, 11 o'clock. What kind of work? Road repair work. Where in big cities, all words, all phrases are important. Big cities means people have to go to office, come back to office. Cities are mostly having a lot of traffic. People work in the day, work in the night. So think about the city concept, not a small town or village. Road repair work can be an inconvenience for commuters. So why road repair work is a major point here? Because we know it signifies an inconvenience to people, sound and other such things also. When it becomes more important, when it is done only late at night. Now let's look at the first statement here. So three statements are given to you, A, B and C. We have to evaluate these arguments and then tell the answer whether it is A, none is strong, B, only A is strong, C, only C is strong, D, only B and C are strong, and E, only A and B are strong. So let's see what is the answer for this question. If you say A, no, this way the work will never get completed. This is more like an opinion. What is it? It's an opinion. This is not a strong argument. It's a weak argument. Again B, no, there will be unnecessary use of electricity. It's again going out of the scope. We are talking about road repair work. We are talking about big cities doing late at night. So this is again not an argument. It's a weak argument. It's again a weak argument. It does not talk about the topic directly. It's going out of the scope, talking about it will be unnecessary use of electricity. So B is not a strong argument. What is a strong argument? Third one. You see, yes, the commuters will face lot of problems due to repair work during the day. So most people go to office, schools, colleges, right, and their daily activities in the day. That is when we see maximum traffic on the road. So if we start doing road repair work during the daytime, it will cause massive discomfort to commuters, to people who are traveling, cause heavy or traffic density and cause lot of traffic bottlenecks and jams across the cities, making the life of people very difficult. So yes, there is a strong reason given to you why it should be carried late at night, because the night time most of the roads have less traffic density and there is less traffic, so we can divert traffic as per our requirement and continue with the road repair work. Okay, alright. So what is the answer then? Answer is C, only C is strong. So you can see these are very easy questions. Once you understand the basic concepts, you cannot go wrong while solving questions like these. Okay, alright. Next question, let's see. Should all the deemed universities be de-recognized and attached to any of the central or state universities in India? Deemed means a particular college which we are saying that will become a university in the future, maybe 3-4 years. So it is deemed to be university. That is why we call it deemed universities. Okay, should all the deemed universities be de-recognized and attached to any of the central or state universities in India? So here you are expected to know the meaning of deemed universities. So see that you cannot escape. You cannot say I don't know, what do I do? The question is not explaining to you what is the meaning of deemed university. You have to know. A deemed university has greater autonomy, self-governance over its matters. It can conduct its own examination, it can correct papers, decide its curriculum, set up a syllabus, decides its fees and program schedule. Right? That is why most colleges would like to become deemed universities, because they can get greater freedom to run the college. Right? So this is what we mean by deemed universities. De-recognized means we cancel their status of being a deemed universities and convert them back into college and attach them to other universities, central or state. Let's look at the first argument here, A. Yes, so it clearly supports that it should be de-recognized. Many of these deemed universities do not conform, that means do not follow. Conform means follow. Conform to. Okay, so conform to the required standards of a full-fledged university, and hence the level of education is compromised. So there are certain requirements of a college becoming a university, a full-fledged university, number of the manpower, area, the overall infrastructure of the college, its ability to stand alone, its finances and many other things are there. Right? So most of the deemed universities, according to this person, do not conform, do not follow, do not satisfy the important requirements. So this is a strong argument. Let's write S here, strong. Second, no, these deemed universities have been able to introduce innovative courses suitable to the requirement of various industries as they are free from strict government control. There is a strong reasoning given that these universities, since they are not in government control, can launch their own courses streamlined more towards the various industries, but it is still a weak argument, because why this cannot be done by being attached to a government university. Second is, are we going to universities only for the purpose of joining colleges, or also for knowledge and education and various other important aspects of an overall development of students. All right, so this is not a strong argument. It's talking about industry, is not about the problem of why deemed universities should not be de-recognized or recognized. So this is a weak argument. Now third one, yes, many such universities are basically money spinning activities and education takes a back seat in these institutions. Very clearly worded strong argument that these deemed universities don't follow the fee structure given by the central or state universities, and they start charging exorbitant amount in fees and thereby become merely a profit churning factory rather than places of learning and education. So what is the answer? Only A and C are strong. Okay. Now B is a good argument, but it is slightly going out of the scope of the discussion by bringing in various industries, and also we have to understand that why is it that we cannot have the same thing in a centralized or state university also. Okay. All right. Next we will look at the statement here. Should teaching of regional languages be made compulsory at school levels in India? Should teaching of regional, we keep hearing about this, every state wants to talk about. Karnataka also keeps saying, okay, we have to make mandatory and all that. Okay, all right. So very relevant question, from our day-to-day life. Should teaching of regional languages be made compulsory at school level in India? Argument, no, it's not supporting it. Where are the trained teachers to teach this language? Now this is not a sound reasoning. Where are the trained teachers? If trained teachers are not there, why can't we recruit them? We can recruit them and we can run the course on regional language. This is not a strong argument, it's a weak argument. Clear? Not a sound justification. Next one, yes, we should be proud of our regional language. Again, it's more like an opinion, no reasoning given to you. This is more like, I don't like exams, so we should ban it. Okay, so this is not a strong argument. Both arguments are weak arguments. That's about this question. Now let's look at the next question here. Should there be a cap on drawing groundwater for irrigation purposes in India? Cap means limit. So I am saying that to solve these questions you should have good vocabulary and general awareness. Should there be a cap does not mean that we are going to wear a cap on our head, right? Cap means limit, a restriction, a control on drawing groundwater for irrigation purpose. Again, groundwater, another important keyword here. Focus on the keywords. Okay, limit on groundwater, but not for everything, for irrigation purposes in India. Should there be a restriction on how much groundwater can be used by a farmer for irrigation purpose? Clear? Now let's look at the arguments 1, 2 and 3 here. The first one says no, clearly opposes it, so one test it qualifies. Irrigation is of prime importance for food production in India and it is heavily dependent on groundwater in many parts of the country. So it is a very good thing, very important point here, valid point. Irrigation is of prime importance for food production, and food is important for us. We don't have food, what will you eat? You start importing food, the cost of food will go up very high, that's not a very good thing. So irrigation is of prime importance for food production. We can't simply be waiting for natural rainwater and canals and rivers and lakes to get our water from. Irrigation is of prime importance and is heavily dependent on groundwater. So if we, very important the word heavily, it's heavily dependent, not just dependent, it's heavily dependent. So if we bring in a cap, it will cause a problem of irrigation, reduce the crop yield of our country and cause scarcity of food. Very strong argument, well worded, strong argument. The first one qualifies as strong. Let's look at the second one. Yes, water tables have gone down to alarmingly low levels. Water tables means, again understand the meaning. That's what I'm saying, that you need to understand common things. General knowledge has to be good, your vocabulary should be good, and your ability to read and understand content should be good to solve these questions. If these things are in place, solving questions like these is not a big thing. Okay, water table means the groundwater table. There is a water bed beneath the surface of the earth, which is called the groundwater, and the level of that is what is called as the groundwater table. The water table has gone down alarmingly, not just gone down, again the key word is alarmingly low levels in some parts of the country where irrigation is primarily dependent on groundwater, which may lead to serious environmental consequences. Serious environmental consequences like complete scarcity of groundwater, and what will people drink, all boring machines will fail, and then we will be completely dependent on supply water for our regular water requirement. And we know what happens during the summer season when that supply water does not come. It can lead to serious environmental consequences if the groundwater is completely depleted. So very well worded, strong argument. Second one is also a good argument, strong argument. Third one, yes, India just cannot afford to draw groundwater any further, as the international agencies have cautioned India against it. Right? Now if you see, India just cannot afford to draw groundwater any further, as international agencies, so there has been a warning from international agencies regarding, for example, the WHO and UN, who keep monitoring different aspects of our climate, and they have warned India that, see, if you do this, it can lead to a problem, right? So that is also a strong argument. So we can say here that all 1, 2 and 3 are strong arguments here. Alright, so we have seen this question. Now so in this class we have understood the concept of arguments. What are arguments? What is the difference between arguments and opinions? What are the 4 benchmarks to understand how to qualify an argument as a strong argument or weak argument? Clear? With examples of different types of questions, and we have also seen how those questions have been approached. Keep in mind that argument should be related to the topic. Point number 1, clearly support or oppose the topic. Point number 2, give a sound reasoning. This is the most important. Give a sound reasoning, explanation or evidence, right? And it should obviously not be beyond the scope of the topic. If you understand these simple points and have a good practice of solving arguments question, then you will never go wrong in answering such questions in your examination. Okay. So now is the time for the class practice pack, in which I have selected 10 questions from arguments for you, so that you can practice using the concept that I have discussed in this session. Okay. Those who have passport access can start solving the questions immediately once you have the sound, and the question which most of you will get wrong I will be discussing in my next session. So best of luck to you and thank you.